Hey guys, this is Montebello Talks. I'm your host, Jenny. And today's podcast, we're going to talk about hip-hop artists in Montebello. Today's guest we have...
My name's Omar Gutierrez, but I go by He That Speaks. And I was born in Boyle Heights, but I pretty much grew up in Montebello.
My name's Manny Cuara. You went to Montebello High School, you probably know me, maybe. I'm not sure. My rap moniker is probably...
Moniker.
They used to call me Diverse, but then they just started calling me The Div. So
Div?
I don't even go by that, really. It's just people, if you know me, then you know me. I'm trying to find another name. Something that fits me better.
Should we make up his name today?
Also,
no, thank you.
his real name. He forgot.
Not right now. Not right now.
And then we have...
My name is Daniel Dupuy.
He was on the last podcast.
I go by that as well for rapping. And I was born in this Tri-City area of East LA, Montebello, Monterey Park, and yeah, I'm from here.
It's going to be a hip-hop show. So heads up, there is going to be cursing. So if you're not into cursing, I would suggest...
Or if you have children.
If you have children...
We're going to keep it at a minimum. We're going to try.
I mean, you just can't...
We won't curse more than your kid's favorite rappers, so...
I mean,
we'll
it's
keep it.
gonna happen. I can't stop. Hip hop and cursing just goes hand in hand. Like there's no way.
Life and cursing go hand in hand too, but
not life and cursing.
Yeah, I mean,
like you don't curse at your job site.
And whoever judges someone for cursing, I don't know.
It's not really that cursing and hip hop go hand in hand. It's just that the hip hop is just an outlet where people express themselves. And
can you rap without cursing though?
Nah,
I think I've done a couple verses without.
I mean,
Christian rap doesn't count.
But
even like after like I left church and everything, like I've done like at least maybe 2 or 3, and it's not even that I tried to do it without cursing. It was once I was done writing it, I was like, oh shit.
But see, that's another thing about it too, because I don't know about, have you ever heard about that? But just in general, you know how some people say that like that you don't have good bars if you can't
curse.
rap without cursing, because a lot of people, they like to use
usually,
those words.
Usually, like the F word and the B word, or like they're kind of just plugins. Like they're not using it to rhyme.
Because you can rap with it like fuck, truck, look. You know what I'm saying?
But that would be trash though. Like
what's my favorite word?
Exactly. So that's why some people think that like if you cuss, then you can't. Well, not that you can't write or spit.
Or maybe you're a rapper if you can't curse.
Well, I don't know. It's just people just express themselves the way they do. Some people don't need to curse.
Yeah, like
there's
it's just expression. That's it.
There's no fucking rules.
There's no right way to rapping.
Like if you want to rhyme without cussing, cool. If you want to rhyme with cussing, cool.
That's the beauty of rapping.
Yeah, because hip hop and rapping is all about expressing yourself. Yeah. So if you have to cuss,
that's beautiful.
It's up to the artist.
Absolutely.
For those of you guys who listened to the previous show, Daniel is the owner of Ground Up Coffee. So we just decided to split the show in 2. Right?
Come get his autograph.
Come get his autograph.
I wouldn't even say like we split it in 2. I would say we discussed this and we realized that like they were their own lane.
We did.
That like coffee and like hip hop, they're separate, and so we decided to give them each their own lane.
He decided that. I wanted to put everything in one. And he was like, "No, they each have their beauty."
Because they're 2 just different. Topics.
That's exactly what he said.
And in my life personally, they're 2 different parts of me. Like. They don't really go hand in hand necessarily.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, but in my
mind... Coffee shop closes at 2. We're here. It's about 10. It's about 10 something
10
in the evening.
It's
11.
This is hip-hop time.
Yeah, hip-hop time. Yeah, but when I told him the idea, I was like, hey, I want to do a show on your coffee shop. And I know you rap, so I want to do a show.
At first she was like, oh, I know these guys who rap. I was like, nah. And then she was like, their name is Omar and Manny. I was like, yes. Let's do it. They're dope. I'll be there. They're about the culture.
Okay, how... do you think Montebello has inspired you to write music?
Ooh, good question.
And has Montebello inspired you to write music?
Yeah, for me,
nah.
The area. The area.
For me, it's so I grew up in Boyle Heights. I moved to Montebello for like a year or 2. Moved back to Boyle Heights, but my mom liked the schooling, the education system in Montebello, so she kept me over here. So I feel like being in Montebello, I never felt like I belonged because. I grew up in East LA, Boyle Heights. Like it's a different thing. Like even though you kind of have you have a lot of people from East LA that moved to Montebello, a large population, but there's still a difference like in the culture. The way we talk and everything.
True.
So just growing up, and then I grew up around cholos. Like my brother was a gangster, my cousins, and like watching Blood In Blood Out growing up and watching American Me and stuff like that. and just the kids I grew up with and their families and their tios and everything, like growing up around that, and then moving to Montebello, and then I went to La Merced. I didn't go to MY. I went to La Merced, so that's like up in the hills, middle class, upper middle class.
Here.
You went to Montebello?
La Merced.
No, La Merced.
Shout out to La Merced.
Middle school.
Where'd you go to high school?
No, I went to Montebello High School.
Montebello.
Okay.
But still, like, I went to La Merced, and I was just like an outcast. Like, I didn't belong there.
You were hood.
Yeah, like I would go to my
You
friend.
were the most Christian hood fool there.
Like I made a friend, like probably my first or second month there.
Steven?
I went to their house. They had a second story, and I was like, "Damn, I never seen a second story house like this." I was
cute
tripping
as
out.
hell. That's cute.
Yeah, like I was tripping out. I was like, "Oh shit, this is crazy." And then I go back home to my like rundown, like
Trash.
40, 50-year-old house, and like
Your
10
house is
people
cute,
living there. All my
though. His
tias
house-
and my cousins
his
live
house
there.
is cute.
That's dope.
And so just coming to Montebello, and I'm not saying that Montebello is like a middle class city, because it's not. You know, it has like its hood if you live like in Greenwood or Southside Montebello.
Yeah.
But just coming here and just being a part of that, it kind of made me feel like an outcast. And the only way to express myself was through music. Like that's when I first started writing. I was probably like in 8th or 9th grade, and I wrote some bars. I wrote a couple verses because I felt like alone, you know. And I was going through all this shit in Boyle Heights, because I still lived in Boyle Heights. I was getting off the bus, getting hit up by like these old ass gang members and stuff like that. And then even when I moved to Montebello, I lived on Greenwood. By Greenwood and Date,
that's the hood.
where that
Yeah.
sushi spot's at on Date.
That's the
wow.
hood.
So I live in that
Sushi
area.
bar- that
That's
sushi
like
place
there's
bomb.
always drive-bys right there. That's where they killed
Yeah.
that guy in the street.
Yep.
Remember?
Yep.
Like, when
On
they
the
ended
middle
up
You live
of
there?
the
I didn't even know that
I
about
used
you.
to live
They were
right
my
there.
cousins. That was
I
my
used to
cousin's
live on
friend.
Greenwood.
Yeah.
So even though I lived still like in the trenches in Montebello, I was still going to the
trenches.
school with like these Armenian kids and like these rich kids, and it was a trip. So and then after that, I went to Montebello High School. I felt more at home. It was more like East LA-ish. You had a lot of kids from East LA going there, but still, like it was just that wasn't what I grew up in. Like I didn't go to elementary with these kids, you know. Like
Same.
I still felt like I was like closer to my friends from like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, because like they were going through what I was going through, you know. So like I feel like that's what, and that had a big impact on like
You
me
saw the
making
difference
music.
between East LA and Montebello,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yep, definitely.
But that's the thing. These cities, they're so close to each other. Like I didn't.
Word.
Yeah, they're so close. Like I never lived in Montebello, but I'm literally in Montebello.
You went to Montebello High School, so you're part of
Yeah,
Montebello.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
and, like I'm always here. It's like literally like
Yeah.
like a 5-7 minute drive. Like I'm
Yeah.
always here.
I think the thing that's funny is my answer is very similar, and we're all alluding to something, and it's kind of the same thing. Is that like there's these cities that all kind of collide in the same area,
Yeah.
and you're kind of confused. Like I have roots in Boyle Heights. That's where my family originates. I'm technically lived in East LA growing up. My
Well,
dad
we're all neighbors.
lied about my address so I could go to Eastmont and then sure
Everybody's
instead of
done that.
instead of Garfield.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, you're confused. Like I don't really know exactly. For me personally, I'm not really sure like where I'm from. Like it's just this area
It's just like a big melting pot.
where it
That's
all
it is.
collides. Exactly. There's diversity, and I think that's what's beautiful
Sick.
because that diversity has
Sick.
affected me, I think, a lot
Yeah.
in my music and stuff. And the diversity of this area, you have people who are wealthier, you have Armenians, you have
You really
Asians,
do.
you
Yeah.
have Mexicans.
In one town, it's so crazy.
Yeah, and I
Like-
think that affects a lot of my music, the diversity for sure.
I grew up in Boyle Heights. Now that I'm older, I feel like Montebello is home.
It is
Like
home.
I don't like to admit it, because like people from Boyle Heights, they have a lot of pride. You know, like my family went to Roosevelt High School. They're Rough Riders and all this shit.
Oh my
Same.
God.
But I went. You know, I mean, I started going to Montebello like to intermediate 5th grade. I was 10 years old, and to this day, like now I'm living in Montebello, so I can't deny it. Like it's a part of me.
your
It's had an
hometown.
effect.
Wait, yeah, you do live in Montebello.
You live
though.
in
Yeah,
Montebello.
I live right here on Wilcox.
Sick.
You grew up here. It's
By the
like
Smart and
you're
Final.
part
Don't
of
break
that.
into my car. It's been
That's why
broken
they're-
into 3 times already.
All right, let's get right into hip hop. Who was your hip hop influence? Like the one that made you like, damn, I want to rap. I want to write bars, or like.
For me, I think I would probably have to narrow it down to 3. I can't say
3?
just
Oh,
one.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
like for me, like when I started liking hip hop and rap, it was Tupac. And it's
That's
like if
my-
you're a kid growing up in the West Coast,
Yep.
in LA, you know, and you're 6, 7 years old, that's all you hear. Your cousins bumping and your tios at the barbecues.
Yeah.
You know, that's all you hear on the radio when you turn on Power 106. Or, you know, 100.3 The Beat back then. That's all you would hear. And so for me, it was Tupac, like, because he told stories, so it was more than just, like, talking about, like, bitches and money. He was, like, talking about his life. And then after that, Eminem is, like, what really, really got me into rap, where I got into, like, looking up other artists and all that. And then once I was kind of grown up already, I was an adult, I discovered this rapper named Blue, and he's from, like, the underground hip-hop scene.
Sick.
And till that day, I didn't really know what underground hip hop was. Like, I had heard of, like, Atmosphere.
Can you explain what underground hip hop is for people that don't know?
So underground hip hop is pretty much just like hip hop music that is not on the radio. It's not mainstream. And the reason it's not mainstream is because it doesn't contain, like, the content, you know, you hear on the radio, which is usually about, like, money and partying and girls. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but, like, that's all you hear. Mm-hmm. So, but when it comes to, like, underground hip hop, it's like you can talk about anything.
And you need, like, a dictionary to listen to that.
Sometimes, shit. Like, depending on the artist.
It's pretty deep.
You know,
is that what you're saying?
But it's just there's more to it. It's multi-dimensional. It's not just like
it's
you
a
gotta
mental
rap
workout.
about this to get to get like listeners and all that. So when I heard Blue, that was like when I started, like, I realized, like, damn, like this is what I want to do. So I started writing more. I met my homie Manny Diverse. He's right here with us.
Sick.
I recorded for the first time with him. So for me, I would want to say overall, Blue is like what got me into hip hop, like what hip hop is and being a hip hop artist. And yeah, that was like probably back in 2011. And then ever since then, I've been writing, recording, even though I don't do it as much now, but it's still a part of me.
Do you want to share what your daughter's middle name is?
Oh, yeah. My daughter's name, her middle name is Blue. I named her after my favorite rapper.
That's influence.
Yeah,
sick.
That just shows, like, how powerful
I saw that
music
actually,
and hip hop can be.
Dope.
You know,
that's sick.
Yeah.
What about you, Manny?
What about me?
Who was your biggest hip hop influencer?
When I started, it wasn't even like a rapper. Well, I mean, and it wasn't even like a big name or anything. It was my friend Vincent.
Vincent?
You know Vincent? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When we were like, I want to say like 7th grade, he had like a little beat machine. So anyways, yeah.
I will say that's very consistent because the first time I ever met you, you
Yeah.
mentioned that same cat and you were like, he basically schooled you to the game. Like,
yeah. Well, I've known Vincent for like, if you went to Montebello High School, like I said again, like you might know him, class of 09. What's up with it? But
You're
so,
09?
Yeah, I'm 09.
It's 08. It's all about 08.
Trash. Anyways, I've known him since I was like, I've known him for like about 16, 17 years already. But in 7th grade, he brought like this little beat machine, right? But I didn't even know what
It was.
And it was like a little crowd or whatever. And then it was just him and like some people or whatever. And that's how I knew he started to do that. So it wasn't even really rapping. It was more like he was just trying to make beats. Like on this, I guess, you know, he was into that. And that kind of, I attached myself to that. Like once I saw like he was like writing and stuff like that, I was like, damn, like this is dope. You know what I'm saying? And then that's when I started to learn about like everything else. So he kind of is the reason that I'm rapping, really. Cause I went through him, like he started showing me stuff, and I was already into like hip hop stuff myself. But in like for me to say that the first person who inspired me to rap, it was him. It wasn't even like
an artist. It was your friend.
It was him.
Dude, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like
And
your
then-
own friend inspired you to get into hip hop.
It was him. You know what I'm saying? And like some of the like I like to say like some of the best moments in my life was when I was with him making beats and stuff like that. Like it'd be like rainy days and like we're out here kicking it and like just for hours and hours and hours, like just trying to make beats and writing and writing. I'll go home and just have like all my little like notebooks and stuff like that, and like just I was just right.
Would you go up to Vincent like, hey, this is what I wrote, and would he approve?
Yeah,
it? Or
I
like,
have
or
a
would
song.
He'd be like, it's not there yet.
No,
No.
yeah, I have a song. It's an old song. I don't really remember the lyrics or whatever, but it's basically about him. Like one of the verses is about him, right? And then I talk about I say just that, like I would go to him and like show him my stuff, and like the way that he used to rap to me was like, damn, this is dope, because he was into like super lyrical stuff. Like he showed me how to write. Like he showed me how to like, oh, this is 60. Like if you're in the rap, then you know, right?
Like syllables. And
yeah,
stuff.
like all like he like you know like 16.
bars.
Yeah, what a bar is, like how like when to stop and like you know stuff like that.
Listening to the beat and knowing your cue,
Yeah.
like
So then really at that same time is when I was really introducing myself. And like I was already listening to a bunch of stuff, but like I said, like as far as somebody influenced me, it wasn't any of these fools until like it was him.
Shout out to Vincent.
And then obviously after that, like I want to say like my biggest influences is probably like Big Al and Big Pun for just lyricism and stuff like that. But as far as like hip hop, it was always like on I don't know. I like grittier stuff, so like I was listening to like Wu-Tang and like Bone Thugs.
Yeah,
If
Bone
you know
Thugs
me,
for sure.
yeah.
When I listen to Bone Thugs, I think of Manny.
Bone Thugs.
Yeah.
I think about Manny when I
So
get
my
to
thing
Wu-Tang.
is like Bone Thugs and Wu-Tang. If you know me, then you know I'm a diehard like Bone Thugs and Wu-Tang fan like for life.
Okay, so back to Daniel. Daniel, who was your biggest hip hop influence?
I mean, I think where the interest sparked for sure. Like my uncle is Raul Pacheco, who's the lead singer and guitarist for Ozomatli, and
Sick.
so growing up,
Sick.
I was very influenced by like music, and they had this
You're
rapper
surrounded.
Charlie Tuna, and so I remember my cousin tells me the story because I don't actually remember it, but she said I was young, you know, like early ages, and we went to a concert for my uncle, and she says that he was rapping, and if you know Charlie Tuna, like he has a very distinctive sound, but she said that I would not take my eyes off him, that like I was basically lost in these words, like in his style and his way to communicate through words. And so she said, like, I always knew something was up with you and words and writing and rapping because you would always get so lost in it. And we went to several concerts, and she said it was always the same case. Like, there was guitars, there was a lot of stuff, but when the rapping started, I was hooked. So like early on, that's kind of where I think like the influence and the mentality started to come from. But I didn't really know a lot about hip hop, and a lot of my influences were like soul, oldies, rock and roll and stuff like that. That's what my parents listened to, that Motown sound and stuff. And then I got a job at Workman's in the mall, and there was
throwback.
Throwback. They were all hip hop heads, all of them. This dude Dweebox, shout out to Dweebox, that was like the sickest beatboxer I've ever heard. And like they were all into like this style of like music that I just didn't really know, this underground style, these Wu-Tangs and like, you know, these Big Al's and like these mixtapes, like a mixtape scene that they would sell mixtapes in the counters and stuff. And so I got introduced to this whole scene of music, and like I didn't really understand, but then I was like, wow, this is crazy. And so I say like, even though that was more underground and like Manny's into that hardcore, I've always been more into like this conscious sound. So like big influences for me was like Outkast, especially early Outkast, like Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music, like Common, artists like that. I mean, I love Big Al, don't get me wrong.
That's right.
Lyrically, Big Al has shaped a lot of like how I've written lyrics because I want to be so lyrical like that.
Sick.
But then I always try to include a certain level of consciousness like Common. So it's like, I don't know. The influences are endless. Like they probably all feel the same way. But but that's just kind of like a quick little story into how I kind of developed this passion.
And that's the crazy thing about hip hop. It's like when you meet an artist and the way they rap, and then you find out what artists they're into, you can see the similarities like easily.
Absolutely.
Because it's like what influenced you, and it's always what influenced you from when you were a kid, not when you were like 20, 21, but like, you know, growing up. And
absolutely.
So we just talked about your favorite hip hop artists. I hate you guys. So we just talked about your favorite hip hop artists. Who's recently hip hop artists influenced you and motivated you? Let's do two because you guys are three. So let's do two each.
Two is such a weird number. You should do
three.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys are three. Let's do three hip hop artists.
For me, right now, like I said, Cole and Kendrick. Kendrick, first of all, because I feel like every album that he does, he kind of switches it up as far as like his beat selection, his flow. So he's always changing. Like if one thing that I'm very critical about, like for myself, is that I always sound the same. Even if it's a different beat, like my flow kind of stays the same. And I feel like in order to like improve as a hip hop artist or a rapper, you got to change it up. You can't just stay the same all the time. So for me, like Kendrick, I see Kendrick like just always changing, always evolving from when I first heard him like almost 10 years ago to now. Like he's grown as a rapper. And then J. Cole, kind of the same thing. So for me, it's like J. Cole and Kendrick.
Manny.
Sick. But when's that album coming out though?
Which one, the J. Cole one?
The joint album.
They've been talking about that for like 5 years and it still hasn't came out.
That's a marketing scheme.
Yeah. All right, Manny.
I don't really. I can't even say that I'm
top
influenced.
Top two.
I don't have a top two.
Top three.
I could give you like a top three, I guess.
Okay, give me your top three.
But I don't know. See, like the thing about like currently, I don't have no current because I'm kind of just vibing off my own whatever right now.
I think that's real though. Go ahead and speak on that.
Like I'll give you top 3 that are always gonna. Look, just real quick, right?
I just want to know who motivates you so people could relate. Maybe
that's the thing though. Like hard. Like I can't even say hard hip hop, but like just anybody in that category is what kind of gets me like motivated. But the thing is that my music doesn't sound anything like that. Cause I like my favorite, like one of my favorite is probably Ghostface Killah from Wu-Tang Clan, and then Big Pun and Big Al and Sean Price. I'll give you that.
They're all hardcore,
and they're all just like they don't. But my music doesn't sound like that. But that's
it's your activation.
Yeah,
energy.
that's just what I go for.
Okay, so they motivate you.
Yeah,
that's the question.
Yeah.
Do they motivate you?
It's not really. I can't even say it's the lyrics. The lyrics, I like whatever. Like I like that because that's just what I like to listen to. But it's just the energy behind it that gets me pumped. That gets me going. Like hell yeah! Like I'm you know what I'm saying? Like,
and then he comes out singing, but nonetheless,
yeah. But that's the thing though, like anything will motivate me. When I hear something that's dope, like that I like, I need to like, I want to be better than that. So it doesn't matter if it's like rap or like if I'm singing.
So the last time I was around Manny, like for a good amount of time, he was heavy on this Dom Kennedy dude. He wanted to be Dom Kennedy.
Are you still in that right now?
He hasn't really dropped any music.
Like, is he your top 3 right now? Like, top motivator?
Is he top 3? No, but that's what I'm saying. That's why there's so many.
At the moment, it influenced a lot of what he did.
And then he's right though. At that moment, like, dude, like to me, Dom Kennedy was a shit. But it wasn't just because of the music. It was just everything, like his visuals, the way that he dressed, the way that he talked, the way that his voice sounded, like everything. I thought everything about him was dope, and what he represented was like, oh my god, this is so fire. Like this is what I want to be. But like I said, in retrospect, that's what I wanted when I first heard Mac Miller. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So these are artists that I'm always going to be like, yeah.
So it just kind of, like from what I'm hearing, it just depends, like,
it depends on what stage
not to sound corny, not to sound corny, but in what stage of your life you are,
and even just today versus yesterday.
Yeah,
if
like
yesterday I'm in a Grammy ass mood. I'm in a Grammy ass mood. If today I'm in a jolly mood, I'm in a jolly mood. And
because like I don't really bump like Dom Kennedy. Like I have my music on shuffle or whatever, and he'll come up and like whatever. Right when his music comes up, I'm like, dude, this is dope, and like you know what I'm saying. So that's just what it is. It's just so much variety.
Yeah,
there's always that one artist or a couple of artists that you're always gonna have on rotation, always, just because it's like you said, it's like your go-to. But sometimes, like for me, it's that like sometimes when I'm in my car, I like to listen to music that bumps, right? And as much as I love Wu-Tang, like the music that they made back in the day, the music that they made back in the day, the way it sounds, it doesn't slap as hard as like something that Dom Kennedy made like on the system or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends. If I'm in my headphones, I listen to something. When I'm in my car, I just want clearly slaps. And right now for that, that's okay. It's none of that.
Right now, top 3. Who motivates you? Go.
Right now, Shoreline Mafia, but that's not really considered like
Jesus Christ, Manny, give me 3. 1, 2, 3.
I can't give you a top 3.
All right, that's respectable.
I can't. There's just so much. And you know me though. Like every time you go, like when we hung out, like if you notice the stuff that I bump, it's never the same.
It really isn't.
It isn't.
There's always something different. But you know what?
Okay, but like on a serious note, I think that I get that. Yeah. Corny, but I think that really comes like on a serious note. It comes from me like being a music producer, which I'm more into now than actually rapping. Because back then I really wanted to be the best. I wanted to be lyrical, miracle, schmir, whatever, right? And now I could care less about that. When I record music, like sometimes one time we recorded a song, me and Omar, right? I wrote my verse in like 5 minutes because I'm just like I have ideas in my head, and I write them down. I don't really go back and edit them. I just let it flow.
See, that's the thing that trips me out.
And then like Omar, like he wanted to perfect his stuff, so it took him like 45 minutes to an hour, and I'm like. You know what I'm saying? And like, but to me, it just kind of flows. And I don't know if that's just me from like me doing it and doing it and doing it. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, sometimes I do want to go back and take my time and stuff like that. But I think the way that I work that's just how I do it. I let it flow. Like I'm not trying to be the best no more. Like now it's just more for me. Yeah, it's just for me personally. And like I get one idea and then like I get another idea and I put this one on hold and go to the next one. And then I go back and then I'm like, damn, I have another idea. So it just triggers. It's like, it just triggers everything.
It really, yeah.
So, you know, and
You're
plus, like, you
you're
got to
being
think about,
creative.
like the way that you live your life. Like, sometimes, like, you got a job or you got things to do. Like, people who are already into it, like, super into it like that, or got lucky, or they just really throw themselves into it, like, then that's all they do. You know, like, I'm not lucky enough to be like that. I wish I could just stay home and, like, write bars and, like, make music all day, but everybody's situation is different. Some people throw themselves into it. Some people have the opportunity. Some people don't.
Yeah, everybody's different.
You know, but, like, as far as the music, that's why my, like, everything I bump is always different because I, like, just, I'm more into the beats
every
now.
time.
Yeah, like, that's just basically it.
It is a hard question. I agree.
Yeah.
It's a hard question.
Is it my fault? Am I?
No.
It's
It's cool. It's just like you just gotta kind of understand.
you guys
up. This is like a basic question for like a hip hop show. You know?
Yeah, because it's not as easy as like, well, what's your favorite food? You know
That's
what I'm saying?
why
It's like,
the phrase top 5 is always controversial because
it's hard.
Okay, let me erase a couple questions here.
I mean, like, it's weird because, like he says, it's very much it's a feeling, it's a moment, it's like, so for example, on the way here today, I was literally bumping his mixtape that he released.
That's freaking beautiful, dude.
Back then,
and
I was
literally, my girl was in the car.
Boy.
My girl was in the car. This was earlier, a little bit earlier, and I wanted to get myself in the headspace I wanted to be in, and we were listening to The Vent. You should really check that song out. And
I am gonna post
both
your mixtapes.
Yeah,
like,
we
I am
both
gonna
got me and my girl both got the chills. Like, I was like, this is so sick, and she was like, I have chills right now, and I was like, yeah, like, and then on the way here, literally tonight, I was bumping Love, Dreams, and Alcohol. That's Manny's mixtape. And
where's that at?
It's on my phone. I downloaded it.
I don't even know.
Back in the day, and I'm just like, I'm inspired.
Send it to me so I can post it on the Montebello.
I don't even have it.
No, he probably has
and
it.
Daniel has a mixtape too.
Daniel,
that's right. That's right.
I have like a couple. I don't know.
Daniel, stop being
everywhere.
humble.
But like these cats like inspire me, and they're not famous, you know. Like, but honestly, I think they're both super talented.
These guys?
He's a magician. Manny or Diverse is a magician creating music.
Oh no, do we need to get back? We need to drop it because you like.
Honestly, like
there was a time like that's the funny thing though because when I barely met Omar, I'm sorry,
Paisa,
I'm illiterate. When I met him,
when I barely that's the fucking Montebello right there, dog.
I remember
basically
both of the mixtapes. Like I worked with him like on their mixtapes, and that's the cool. Like, see, that's the thing about memories, right? Like. I remember when we finished his mix, like he would come over to my house, he'll write and record and all of that.
Awesome.
And I remember I forgot what park we were, but like we finished the whole mixtape, right? And then we went to a park and we were just like, you know, we'll mention, you know, but
blazing.
Like, yeah. He said it, not me. But so we just but the main focus was like, dude, we finished like this body of work and we just kicked it and we heard the whole thing and it was like, and this was like what we were like,
and that was 16 tracks. Too.
How old were we?
We were like 21, 22.
I'm 27 right now, and like a couple of months I'll be 28, right?
Like
so this was like 5-6 years ago, and it was like,
2012.
but like I remember that day, I remember that night like it was yesterday. Like we heard the whole thing, and then we were just talking about our dreams and aspirations, and like, dude, like we want, like, you know what I'm saying? The same thing with Daniel. Like I remember I used to go to his house, and we would make the beats at his house. Like I wouldn't even have anything ready. We just kind of vibe. And like, what do you like? Do you like this? Do you like that? Right? Da, 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 da. And like, we were like doing that for weeks.
And then in between the hip hop shit and the rapping and the writing, we were getting to know each other also.
Yeah.
Like we didn't really know each other. We kind of just like, oh, I know your name. I know like what you're doing. We both like hip hop, whatever. But then when we all got together in one room, we worked on one song, but we were in Daniel's apartment for like maybe like 8 hours.
Are you
We would go outside.
serious?
We would go outside for smoke breaks.
And that was the thing.
I was taking selfies in his restroom.
Because that's the thing though. Like at that point, it wasn't even just like oh, what's up? Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like nowadays, like, well, like, you know, people do stuff through the internet and like you send beats or people buy beats or like there's no connection. It's just it is
like
what it is, right?
It's the digital age.
But the thing about us and like the reason why like all these like this is one of the reasons why like hip hop is like special to me because it gives me memories. Like I told you, like some of the happiest moments of my life was when I was making beats with Vincent, you know? because like we were literally like we would go or if you know like about like making beats and stuff, like we would go out to the stores and like buy records and like just put them under our jackets not to get them wet and like wait for the bus, and then like super excited to go back to his house and put them on the record player and hear what we had to be able to like make beats.
You saying that, like I'm getting the visual in my head.
Yeah, and that was like and being from the West Coast over here, like but back in the day my influence was like New York, like hip hop, like that was my shit. So to me it's like waiting for the bus and doing this and like going to his house. It's a rainy day, it's setting the vibe, it's dark, it's you know what I'm saying, and like the type of beats that we like, it was like that. So that's the same feeling that I got when I would go, like when I would kick with Omar or I would go to like Daniel's house. Like those are memories that like I wouldn't have had if it wasn't for hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm always gonna remember those days. And that's the thing. Like we built friendships. It wasn't just like
we're just
like,
rapping together.
It wasn't just business. It wasn't just like it was like a friendship.
And that's you could tell, like when you listen to your music, it's not like
that's why
I'm just gonna say my verse and forget you guys. No, you could tell like there's like chemistry between you guys.
And that's the thing. Like me, I've never done music with anybody that I don't really personally know. You know what I mean? So if you ever hear my music and I have features and stuff like that, it's always people that I've met that I thought were dope and like that I made music with. Like it's just like on another level. It's not just like, hey, well, this fool gets down, like, oh, you get down, like, you guys should do a song, and like, all right, cool, whatever, you know? Because I've had a few times where I did that, but nothing ever came out because, you know, the chemistry wasn't there. Like, I don't know him, he doesn't know me.
So does that mean there's an EP coming, or?
Yeah.
Are you guys going to have, like, I really want you guys to sing something. Not sing, but, like,
well,
rap
see, here's
something.
the thing. Like, I haven't seen Daniel in, like, what? Like, it has to be, like, over a year.
Okay, well, that's what makes it
now
so...
because of your podcast, like, now we're here, and we're probably going to have a conversation after this.
Okay, but I kind of want, like, a little preview. Like, if you guys... If you guys were to do something right now, like freestyle, like if you guys were to, you guys are over here talking about like you guys are hip hop artists and you guys do this and this and this. Like
I'll rap for you if that's what you're asking.
I am asking for you guys to rap. Like if you guys, okay, let's say if Danny were to throw.
I'm too drunk, I can't rap.
If Danny were to like do a verse right now, would you be able to like follow along, or would you be able to follow along?
Not necessarily.
Or like how would that work?
Okay, well, see, this is another thing.
How would that work?
Well, that's another thing about hip hop though, like we're like freestyling, right?
Freestyle, exactly.
Some people are good at it and some people are not.
Are you good at it?
Me personally, I don't even mean to sound ignorant, but when I'm drunk, I probably can.
Mm-hmm.
But
so how many beers have you had today? Like
no, okay, but here's the thing though, like there's like to me personally, there's a difference between freestyling, like rapping, and making a song, making like art. Absolutely. It's different. Yeah, like I'm not knocking freestyling, right?
Because you're like under pressure and it's like
no, because some people they literally base their whole artistic
freestyling is beautiful. It's definitely artistic, but some people who could freestyle for days can't write a song.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
So what? Okay, if I were to go one by one, are you guys good at freestyling or writing a song?
I'm better at writing a song. I'd rather write and record. That's just, I'm telling you, it's different. Like some people, they literally do this for a living. Like they study people. Like when you're freestyling against somebody else.
Like Supernatural, like Harry Mack.
I think people that are good at freestyling is because that's what they started off with.
Yeah. Right.
Like unless if you started off with freestyling, you're not going to be that good at it. And I feel like for the three of us, we all started off with writing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's like I'm not really.
Okay, so now that you guys are saying that, like, what like motivates you guys to write, or what, like, where does your motivation come from?
Good question. I like that question.
Go for it.
Thank you.
For me, it changes. Like I feel when I first started off, it was more kind of the motivation came from like my own life and expressing myself. That was like my way of venting. Mm-hmm. And now it's like I'm 27. You know, I'm about to be 28. Like I graduated from college already. I have my job. Like I feel like I'm like this grown up person, you know, even though I don't feel like I'm grown up, but I have a daughter, I have a family, I have bills to pay. And when I was younger, I would have thought like, oh, that's something stupid to rap about. Like I don't want to be grown up. I don't want to have bills. I don't want to have a kid. I don't want to have a family, because when you hear hip hop, that's not what you hear about. I mean, that's not what you listen to. Mm-hmm. But now I feel like most of the people my age are in the same shoes that I'm in, you know, except for all
Totally.
3 of you here.
Yeah.
But everybody else from Montebello, you know, they're kind of going through something similar to what I'm going through. And I see that on social media.
Yeah,
I
dude,
see
you're
that
not alone.
in
There's other
conversations.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Hashtag
it's like,
fake.
even if I feel like
Hashtag
rapping about
familia.
Fake. No, but I would even argue that hip hop needs more artists that are in this mindset. Artists who didn't blow up when they were 18.
Yeah.
Who actually
Didn't
have
get to
lived
their
a little
face.
bit of life in a normal sense, or who have responsibilities in didn't have a bunch of money. Like, I think hip hop needs more people like that, to be honest.
What
Like,
has to say about that?
And I feel like for us, when we started when we were 20, even though we were young, or we younger than 20, probably
Yeah,
18, 17,
yeah.
we
Yeah,
were
different
our
perspective in
mind,
life, yeah.
our mind and our way of processing life and everything that came to us. Like, we had a different way of processing it, thinking about it. Like, we didn't have like that ordinary mindset. You know, like, our mind wasn't just like on the present and money and bitches and all this stuff, but it was like on other things. And we were able to process that and be able to express it through our music. And I feel like for hip hop and like for being an artist, like, you can't just be basic.
It's not even that. Like, to me, like, just, well, because back to like the making the beats and stuff. Like, for example, when I started making beats, like, I had to, I guess it was like when it was barely starting off. Like, I went and I bought my laptop. I told you I was like getting into it with Vincent, so I kind of just, you know, researched and stuff, and I was like, oh, there's like programs that you can buy and this and that, and I was on it, right? But like, you're talking about like what influenced you to like start rapping or whatever. It was like,
she's saying like what inspires you to
What
yeah, see, like what
you?
inspires me to start rapping,
Like, daily.
Okay, so like when I write, it's mostly because I'm like in my feels and I'm like
You're venting.
going through stuff and I'm venting. I'm going through a heartbreak. I'm going through stuff and I write. It just comes out like, I don't even, it just rhymes. It just, everything just connects. So I'm pretty sure I could like click that to you, how you guys rap or make verses.
I
Like, you
don't think
guys
that's like for every rapper, because there's certain rappers
not.
where it's like you can give them a
'Cause I could
topic
be-
and they'll write a whole song
About something
that
else.
topic.
because I could be
Thing.
honest to you, I like, and I don't sound ignorant, but I don't think anything motivates me.
Nothing motivates you.
I just do it because I know I'm good at it.
That sounds kind of arrogant.
But it is what it is. Like, I don't.
I mean,
That sounds kinda
arrogance,
judgmental.
arrogance and hip hop
yeah,
kind
like, I
of.
can't sit here and tell you that like something that like happened to me in my life, like that motivates me. It doesn't. I don't
but-
get motivated like
Okay,
that.
but like,
His real name's Clarence.
Yeah.
Clarence
Like,
is a home of both
I
parents.
just hear something that's dope,
And Clarence's
I wanna
parents have a
outdo
real
it.
good
good
marriage.
so you,
Sick. Trash.
so you're telling me, okay, so let's say you're like listening to a track, X track. You're listening to that, and listening to that track will motivate you to write another song.
Yeah, well, I guess so. Yeah, because I hear a lot of stuff and like I'm just it's
Like, I could do
whatever.
something better. and,
But if
like-
I hear something that sonically pleases my ear, like me personally, the person that I am and what I like, if I hear something, I'm like, oh my god, this is fire! Like,
Yeah.
I immediately go and
Something
I
like
do
just-
something, yeah. But I can't tell you, I can't sit here and tell you that like my life or things that I've been through or so, like, because it doesn't. I just, I literally just love the art form. Like,
Yeah.
that's what got me into it. Like, why else would I want? Like, if I saw Vincent like do this stuff and like. What made me gravitate towards that? Like, it was just the art form. Like, I cared about it. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to learn how to write. I started reading the
so
dictionary.
that's what motivates you. You
Yeah,
want to be
well,
the best.
But that was then though.
I was back.
At
What
this
about
point,
now?
My mind is just different. Like, I tell you, like, I'm not really focused on rapping as much as I'm on producing.
That's good because I'm
So it's
focused
more
on rapping.
sounds, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the thing where like people think that like all these kids, like, okay, these kids are blowing up, they're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, but that's not their fault. That was technology. That's why I was trying to tell you the story about like when I started making beats, there wasn't really like YouTube tutorial like how to make beats, how to do this. Like there wasn't Guitar Center. Like when if like even back in the day, if you wanted to make a record, like you had to have money. You had to have money to
Yeah.
pay for studio time. You had to go and buy a beat or find somebody.
or
like,
classes too.
now
like-
all you need to do is buy a laptop with a program, and you could go buy a little $50 mic, and you could just do all the shit that you want to do. Which that's why you can't blame these kids for doing it, because they
Yeah.
didn't
They
come
have
up the
those
same way that we
sources,
did.
yeah.
So
all
now
that.
you could download packages with drum samples and bass guitars and
It's
everything.
all
But back
technology.
then he had to grab a record and he had to bite that off of that record and sample it and like create these sounds. You couldn't just download them necessarily.
The way I see it now is like, you're a kid, right? Or you're like, you know, like, let's just keep it real. Some kids, like, you're 16, 17, like, you know, you're out here kicking it with your boys or whatever, chilling or whatever, like, and you see everybody's blowing up. You're like, fuck, like, all right, I could do this. Like, I could, or even just being bored. Like, let's say you're kicking it with your little homies, right? You guys are just like drinking a beer. You guys are getting high. Like, let's keep it real, because that's what, you know, like, this type of shit really happens. You're kicking it, you're bored. Like, hey, let's drop a song. That's how Lil Pump got, like, known. You know, like, him and, like, Smoke Perp, if you guys are familiar. Like, Smoke Perp is older than him, right? So he was just, like, really into making beats, like, on his own little thing. But it wasn't, like, anything. Like, it wasn't, like, on some real hip-hop. It was just him, like, trying to make beats. Like, hey, what's up? Like, why don't you rap? And Lil Pump was like, nah, fuck that. Like what the fuck? That's dumb. Like, I'm not down. He's like, fool, just rap. And he was like, all right. He just started saying some dumb bullshit. And then they put it up online and they got like big, because it is what it is. You know what I mean? He didn't like, he doesn't have a, so when he gets interviewed on the radio, he doesn't have a story where like, they ask him also like, who's your favorite artist? Da, 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 do you know this? He doesn't know nothing. He just did it literally because it was there for him to do.
It just came out.
Yeah.
Just say some bullshit on the mic and do it. All right, cool. So then people get mad at him for going on interviews and like not knowing his history, not knowing anything, but that's not his fault. Like, that's the thing. Like, people want to.
He's a product of.
He's whack. He's bullshit. His music is trash. But that's not even the point that people are missing. It was technology. It's the years that he grew up in. It's everything. It's not his own fault.
That really does take an effect. Like, where you.
That's why I don't do that no more, because I used to consider myself a purist. Like, I love like real hip hop, underground, like fuck the radio. I don't give a shit about any of that. And then now, like, it's not like that no more. And it's just like I separated myself from that. And I again, because of the beats, not really the like.
And people could relate to that. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, because I used to be like, if you knew me, like, I was like, oh, fuck the radio, fuck. It's all about underground hip hop. Like, this is real. Like, this is real hip hop. This is where it's at. Yeah. And then like, and now it's not like that. Like. And you know that. You, like, Omar met me when I was like that. Like, when I was really into it. And then little by little, he, like, you know, we used to, not arguments, but we used to get into, like, little conversations about, like, this and that. And, like, but, you know, I think now he gets me, kind of. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it is what it is. The times are changing, so is music. And that's why at this point, I don't talk shit about any kind of music. I just say, all right, this is just not for me. And
one thing I will say, though, is, like, personally, as an artist, I really don't give a shit what's out there. I'm always going to make what I like. So, like, I don't care if it's trendy. I don't give a fuck if there's technology. I don't care if Lil Pump's big. Like, I'm going to do me, like, always. I'm never going to change my style.
The question was, what motivates you guys to write?
I mean,
what?
I think he did kind of try to answer that, and I think he did too. And I think
what's your answer?
I feel like it just changes. Like,
yeah, it does. It definitely changes. Sometimes it's my life. Like,
it
sometimes my life.
Where part of your life you're at.
Yeah, it depends.
Like for me, like, say with Mac Miller, when he passed away, it hit me like hard. And we were talking about this earlier. When he started to blow up, that's when like me, Daniel, and Manny were starting to like really get into hip hop and recording and all that. So we were able to like resonate with what he was going through and like the kind of music he was making. Like, we wanted to be that. We wanted to be like coming out on MTV and having like millions of views on YouTube and being recognized like for being hip hop artists. And so when he passed away, I started listening to his album Swimming, and I felt like, even though like I've never met this guy in my life, like I felt like I felt what he was talking about, because I've been listening to this dude since he was 17, 18 years old. That album that inspired me to write like 4 verses in the past 2 weeks. Like, I wrote 4 verses, and they were all deep and like kind of like even like kind of touching on death. And I've never thought about like suicide, but the thought of even considering that, of killing yourself, like, because I've felt low before in my life, and even though I would never do it, but just like knowing that I could like understand what he was feeling, and I was able to write about that. Like,
it's interesting that you say that.
That's what motivated me this month.
It's interesting that you say that, because the people that were like quoting him or like will talk about him, it wasn't about his recent music. It was just a lot of people were talking about, you helped me go through hard times back in 2012. Right. They like throw it way back, and I'm just like, oh,
and see, that's the beauty of hip hop. Like, when it comes to the genre of hip hop, like, you don't hear about that with like country music, you know, rock and roll, maybe like classic rock, you know, because classic rock is pretty dope. But I mean, but as far as like hearing about it, like where all these different artists have like helped, like Kid Cudi help people get through depression and wanting to kill themselves. Eminem help people get through their anger. You know, like all these different artists are like just being able to feel what they're going through. It's like I feel like hip hop is like the only genre that could really reach that many people.
That's why it's so hard to give you a simple answer, because music is deep.
Music in general is deep, but like
there's no way to just give you like a basic answer. There just isn't.
But I want to touch on that a little bit, because like people don't. Dude, I love hip hop. Like hip hop is like the love of my life. There's a reason, but like if you really think about like music, and you compare the music forms, the genres, right? Like this is something I think I actually took a hip hop class in college, right? It was like genre wise, like people don't realize like how vulnerable hip hop is. Like you think about music, like think about any rock and roll song, right? You have four bar verses, like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You have that 4 times, right? But in hip hop, you're writing
barbecue stain on my white t-shirt. Oh yeah, that is.
You're writing quadruple, if not more than that, the amount of lyrics that you hear in any other song. So naturally, you're writing more. You're putting more out there. Like if you listen to any regular song, it's a lot more abstract. It's a lot shorter. There's a lot more hook in it.
Not really like,
when it comes to hip hop, at minimum, if you're not writing a 16, and to be completely honest, the 16 is kind of soft still. Like you're writing like 32, 40 bars sometimes. Like that's way more music, way more lyrical content than any other genre of music that exists.
Yeah. And for people that don't know what a bar is, that's pretty much like
a lot.
Yeah, that's a line. So usually a hip hop verse or a rap verse consists of 16 bars.
You should show us.
So
what's the difference
lines.
between a bar and a verse? Can you?
A bar is just a line. A verse be like
16 lines.
Well, traditionally,
hip-hop,
is there like if you guys know Murs, he had an album called 316, and that's what it was like about, right? Mm-hmm. So traditionally, a rap song would have 3 16s, so it's 3 verses, each 16 bars. You feel me? So traditionally it was 16 bars, or like that's just kind of like the threshold, I guess. For
when you say 3 bars, you mean like 3 verses, 3 quotes? Like is
so
that what?
A bar is just a line within a 16, so it's 16 bars equals 1 verse.
Oh, I get it. I get it.
But now it's just
3
different.
lines.
Like I said, I guess traditionally that's what it would be. I guess.
So a singular bar would be, I'm here chilling at the table with my homies. The second bar would be like, just because you listen to this podcast doesn't mean that you know me. You see what I'm saying? So like that's 2 bars.
Yeah. Bars.
Put 16 or 30 of those together, that's a verse.
So it's like everything put together is a verse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And a hook, Omar could sing for you, and
that's my specialty.
Yeah, I suck at hooks.
Hooks are hard. Hooks
I
are
hate
hooks.
hooks.
They're tough.
So I know. You guys have written albums. What pushed you guys to do a song?
Like I'm ignorant. Don't start with me.
I had no reason.
Like
I just did it because.
What motivated you guys to be like, you know what? I want to write this album. I want to write this song.
For me, I was probably like. I was like 20 years old when the thought was conceived in my mind. Like I could write an album, like I could write songs, because I had already written like 2. When I was younger, I used to go to church, and that's when I started performing like what I was writing, and usually it was about God and positive stuff and all that. And then I left the church. Obviously, and now
hashtag leave the church.
Yeah, hashtag.
Don't forget
hashtag God is good.
Yeah.
Can we not? Okay, we're not getting
hashtag
no religion or
I like
politics
to
in
thank
my
Jesus
show.
for my #1 hit single.
No.
Suck your mama.
No.
Hashtag Jesus on. God show me the way, because Omar's trying to break me
Oh
down.
my God, we're not doing this right
Jesus, you know, Kanye West.
What?
Yeah.
God, show me the way.
You know what the Midwest is? Young and restless.
For me, going back to when I was younger, I was heavily into church from like 18 to 20, and around 20 years old, I stopped going to church, and that was at that same time I happened to really be getting into hip hop. So I feel like hip hop took the role of religion.
Dope.
Like when I would go to church.
Hip hop was your religion.
Hip hop is bigger than religion.
It really was, because when I would go to church, I would go up to this altar. I would sing. I would vent. I would pray. I would talk to God, and then I found myself doing the same thing when I would be writing a verse. Like I was venting.
Deep
bars.
That's deep. That's deep.
Bars.
My story's not that deep.
To me,
bars.
hip hop took the place of religion. I don't want to say God because I still believe in God, but as far as like what religion was doing for me and being part of a
hip-hop
church.
was your religion?
Because when you go to church, you're full of emotions. Like you're singing, you're up at the altar, you have this guy preaching to you, and it's like making you feel these things that, you know, like, so it's like hip hop does, it did the same thing for me. Word. So when I was like about 2021, I realized that, so I started writing more and more. Around that same time, I heard of Blue. I heard his album Below the Heavens. Fire. And I was like, underground hip hop? Like I had never heard of like what underground hip hop was until I heard him. And so that just that was like the biggest motivation right there. And I realized like with all the things I had been through in life, growing up, I grew up in Boyle Heights around like my brother and my family. They were all drug addicts, gang members. I had like police like raiding my house like every other week when I was a kid growing up. Yeah. So that was like traumatic. And seeing that and being like being a male, you're kind of told like, oh, you know, hold your emotions in. Sure. So I never expressed them. You know what I mean? I couldn't cry. I couldn't like, you know, tell my mama like that it was affecting me. So then for me, hip hop and writing was my way of expressing myself. So when I was 21 and I got into underground hip hop, I had just left the church. It all happened like at the perfect time. And then I met Manny, this other dude.
No,
yeah, that's beautiful.
That was like that was the final piece, like to my puzzle.
Put like a love song right now.
No,
like,
that's dope. I'm gonna get that.
Whenever I'm alone with you, Omar.
So it was like
Manny was like, nah, you're whack.
So my timeline was leaving church, listening to Blue and discovering underground hip hop, and then meeting Manny.
Just real quick, because he said it so much. Below the Heavens by Blue, honestly,
one of the best hip hop albums ever.
Oh my god!
Hey, straight up, like I don't like to act like I know everything because I don't. I've never listened to that album.
Oh my god!
You would love that shit.
I'm gonna now. I mean, thank you.
You guys are making me want to listen.
I can listen to that album like from front to back, and like it's like, oh, it blows my mind every single time.
Fuego.
I'm fucking.
That's
pumped.
one of the
It's going on right now. On the way
that's one
home.
of the albums that like every time I hear it, it makes me want to go back and rap. Always.
Yep.
It makes me. It reminds me that it's worth it.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
For
He
myself.
is inspired.
And especially for me, since that's like when I started rapping. So it's like whenever I hear his album and I'm in that mood where like, oh, I don't want to rap no more. I don't want to write no more. And I hear that, it just takes me back, rewinds 8 years to when I was in this car with my friend and we were just chilling, like, you know, late at night. And then this song comes on and I'm just like, dude, who's this? And he's like, oh, Blue, you never heard of him? And then I got home, I looked him up on YouTube and the rest is history. Yeah, that was it.
It wasn't me, was it? It wasn't me.
No, it wasn't me.
That's dope though, because I feel like my answer is so different, and I'm realizing like, damn, like there's no rules. The question was like, what inspired you to actually put a collection of music together? We don't need to call it an album or a mixtape, just a collection, just right? Like a project. Yeah. And like for me, it was like I didn't really even understood what I had, to be honest. Like I didn't really even understand that I could write or rap. Like, and I would write a lot. I started writing like more at like 14. And it wasn't until like almost post high school where people, my homie came over the house. Shout out to my homie Ashton. He came over the house and he's like, somehow he caught wind of like what I was doing. And I showed him my music. And he was like, the fuck? He's like, you need to start putting this out. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing with this? Like, what is this? Like, it was a whole world that no one really knew. Like, it was secretive. It was like my own thing, but I didn't share with nobody. And I didn't really understand. I just thought it was normal. I thought everyone could do this. I thought like it wasn't that hard. But like when he heard it, like it was other people's belief in me that I didn't even really realize. Like,
and that's how it happens.
Once my homies caught on to like what I was doing, they were like mind blown. They know my lyrics better than me sometimes. They're my family, and like before you know it, you have people you don't really know, and you're like writing you messages saying like, "Wow, like this is so moving. Like, please don't stop making this music."
It's a trip. Like, there's been like my mixtape. I dropped it like 8 years ago.
Yeah,
like a couple of weeks ago. This one girl Snapchats me. She's in her car listening to one of my songs from my mixtape.
Yeah, straight up. Hey, shout out to the dude who just bought my fucking mixtape on Bandcamp for $20. I don't even.
Random
that shit blew my mind.
Yeah.
But like, exactly, like it was all these people coming and saying like, "What are you doing? What?" Like, and then I realized like it made me think to myself like, "What am I doing? Why is everyone coming at me like this, telling me that I have this gift or that I'm doing something that matters. And then literally like you're like, oh, and it put me in a different mindset. Like it went from being just for me to like I should share this with people, even if it's just the people in my city, but like I should share it.
So you saying that, what do you guys want Montebello people to know about you guys? Am I asking too many like tough questions here? Like you guys are like,
no, I'm just thinking about that one. That's probably,
it's a hard one.
Yeah.
Think about it, because you guys are Montebello. People are obviously, I'm gonna post up your music on the page.
Well, here's the thing though, like I like me, or just. I mean, look at how
everybody's different, so you can have whatever else you want.
Look how this brought us together, though. So, like, I think maybe like the main objective of this would be, well, not the main, but like me personally, I think this is just like, if anybody hears this, like, if you're making music, there's like, you know, like, don't think that you suck or like you're trash or whatever. Like, just keep doing it and just know that there's a community out there. Like me personally, I've never backed down or like neglected anybody who's ever tried to make music with me. Like, I've always took my time to hear people out and like give them not criticism, but just kind of like, hey bro, like you are where you're at. Like the only way is up. You know what I'm saying? So like, just keep doing it, get better, keep practicing, and like just know that you're not the only one out here like doing this. You know, for whatever it is that whatever your reason is for doing like music and stuff like that.
Exactly.
You know, so what? Like at me first, like my reason was because I just wanted to I wanted to blow up.
What do you want Montebello to know about you?
I'm willing to work with anybody. What's up?
What's up? Hit
show me
up.
your music. Yeah, come at me.
Collab.
What's the Instagram and the Snapchat?
Just show me. You know, like if you ever see me around, or if you guys are willing to work, you know.
He's a tall guy, so you guys can't miss him.
Used to be chubby, but looking a little skinnier now.
That's right. Yeah, you know, just you know, if you do music, hit me up. You know, I've had already a few people hit me up. Sometimes, you know, we chat or whatever, and then, you know, things get...
So you're saying, like, if there's an upcoming hip-hop artist, like, hey, dude, look, I just wrote this paragraph of verses, and I want you to...
I just kind of, like, when I was in high school, I wish more people did it, or maybe I wish more people knew, like, I knew more people that were doing it.
Yeah.
Because all of that happened after high school.
Right.
So I guess what I want people to know is that if you know that I make music and you're making music, hit me up, and we can link and work.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. You feel me?
What about you, Omar? What do you want Montebello people to know?
I'm going to answer that, but it's a trip what you said, because...
I'm the answer that right now.
It's going to be short.
I'm going to let you finish.
No, but like, yeah, back when we were in high school, like, I probably only knew like 2 rappers, dude.
Yeah,
it was my homie Brandon that introduced me to Manny.
I remember.
And then like this other like dude that was just trash, but he was always freestyling.
Who was
I forgot
it?
his name, but he was like this chubby like brown dude with like spiky
I know
hair.
What you're talking about. And
and he would always be battling. He was always wearing like Southpaw or Echo or something.
Yeah,
but
we all were.
Even though he was trash, like I thought it was dope that. My bad, bro. You're probably dope.
He was
now.
in choir. I know.
But back then,
about.
If he's still doing it, he's probably sick now.
Yeah. But back then, it was like I would like hear him freestyling. I was like, this is whack. But the fact that he was able to like form this crowd around him and like the other dude that he was battling, and he was never like afraid and he never backed down. Like I thought that was dope.
That's that energy.
And I think I was like a junior in high school, and then that's when I first like started actually trying to write a verse. And like, yeah, it's crazy. Like back then, like it would be hard to find a rapper, and now it's like I've worked with high schoolers, like the jobs that I've had, middle schoolers, and like everybody's trying to be a rapper now because it's so easy. Yeah, because you got SoundCloud, you just need a laptop. So yeah, it's crazy how like the times have changed. But going back to what I would want people from Montebello to know about me, I don't know. It's just. Even though like I don't rap as much as I used to, it's still something that inspires me. Hip hop, it's something that kind of pushes me to express myself and be a better person. So I feel like if you're a rapper in Montebello, if you're writing poems, you're writing verses, whatever you're doing, whether it's even if it's not hip hop, if it's artistic, don't hide it from the world.
Word.
Even if you think it's
Embrace
trash,
it.
trust me, my first verse was trash. Eminem's first verse was trash. Mac Miller's first verse was trash.
Somewhere.
Yeah, and you just continue to work on your craft, and that's something that I've done. And before I would write stuff, and people would say, "Oh, it's dope." And I would be like, nah, it's trash. Like you're always your worst critic.
Yeah,
but even now, like sometimes I'll write something and,
still trash.
And my friends or like say Manny. Like for me, I want to hear the opinion of a hip hop artist. Like what my like say for example you Jenny, if you're like, oh, that album was so good, or I really like this song.
I'm so supportive.
I'm kind of like, yeah, but you like so it, like other things I don't like. So
yeah, I'm like so supportive.
But like
oh
you
my
listen
God,
to
Omar, you're
you
the
listen to
best
Ed
rapper.
Sheeran.
Yeah, because but like I hear I hear a lot of rappers that have followers.
Yeah,
and they
they're
suck,
whack.
but they do it because there's people, it's subjective. There's people that tell them like, oh, you're dope, keep doing it, and they keep doing it. Yeah. But you know, like they probably won't go that far, but they're doing what they love.
Yeah,
you know,
like,
cool. And for me, like that's how I was in the beginning, where like I just thought I was always trash. But now that I've worked on my craft and I've been writing for over 10 years. Now, when somebody tells me, like, say, for example, if Manny tells me, like, hey, this is dope,
you believe him.
I believe it because I believe in myself, and it takes time to get to that point.
Rapero.
So if you're a rapper, you're an artist in any form, just keep working on your craft.
Yeah,
that's all I could say.
Dope. What I want Montebello to know about me was the question, right?
Yes.
I think I just want to say that I just want everyone to know that I'm on the brink of, I think, my greatest music I've ever written.
Oh,
like,
don't call this a comeback.
Don't
I was never gone. I was never gone, and I think that's the big thing that people miss.
It was just pause.
That's the name for the mixtape.
Misinterpret like, oh, you like people tell me like, oh, so what's up with your hip hop? I'm like, what's up with it? And they're like, oh, you're still on that. I was like, it never went nowhere. I just stopped posting stuff, but it never went nowhere. This is a lifestyle. It's not really like a thing.
It doesn't go away.
Like it's always there. It's always there. Since I was 14, it's been there every single day.
It's in your soul.
It's always there. And so, but right now, I just feel like I'm
ready?
on the brink of like some of the best work I've ever done. So just
stay
know that.
tuned, guys.
So if you're wondering if you want to click that link when it drops,
I'll be mixing and mastering it. What's up?
Click that shit.
Do it. Link up, guys.
Because it's gonna be really good. I promise.
Fire.
So me bringing you guys together.
Flamas.
Is this like a future mixtape coming up?
It's just
like, are you guys gonna meet up like soon and then like record something?
Well, for sure. At least the track.
Awesome.
Like,
this actually, it's so funny you did this because I had already texted him and told him to tell him before I even knew who you were. Before I even met you.
We just met
this
2 weeks ago.
A couple weeks back. I texted him like, dog, like I just feel this music shit.
Yeah, Daniel texted me like probably 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then like a couple of days after that, you text me and I'm just like,
yeah,
that's weird.
Like,
hey, so I know I'm gonna throw this out there. I don't know how comfortable they feel, but like I don't know. I kind of don't necessarily, and this is something I struggle with. So I don't. It's weird that I'm the one recommending this, but I don't want Montebello to listen to this whole thing and not at least hear us rap something.
Thank you. I was gonna do that.
Like I feel like that's a lot of talk, but like
you guys are all talk. You guys need to show like Montebello, like I can't just be like, oh, I'm a singer and not sing. Yeah. I'm not a singer. I used to be in choir though. What's up? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and since most people don't even know who the hell we are.
No, Omar's my best friend. Manny's a friend. Daniel I just met 2 weeks ago, but he was connected. But
everything.
Everyone's all connected.
It all came together for a purpose.
This is meant to be.
I don't know why I said that.
Why did you say that? Who's man's?
Hip
hop's man's. Okay, how do you think Montebello has inspired you to write music?
Ooh, good question.
And has Montebello inspired you to write music?
Yeah, for me,
nah.
The area. The area.
For me, it's so I grew up in Boyle Heights. I moved to Montebello for like a year or two. Moved back to Boyle Heights, but my mom liked the schooling, the education system in Montebello, so she kept me over here. So I feel like being in Montebello, I never felt like I belonged because I grew up in East LA, Boyle Heights. Like it's a different thing. Like even though you kind of have you have a lot of people from East LA that moved to Montebello, a large population. But there's still a difference, like in the culture.
No, the
way we talk and everything.
True.
So just growing up, and then I grew up around cholos. Like my brother was a gangster, my cousins, and like watching Blood In, Blood Out growing up, and watching American Me and stuff like that. And just the kids I grew up with and their families and their tios and everything, like growing up around that. And then moving to Montebello, and then I went to La Merced. I didn't go to MY. I went to La Merced, so that's like up in the hills, middle class, upper middle class.
Here.
You went to Montebello?
La Merced.
No, La Merced. Middle school.
Where'd you go to high school?
No, I went to Montebello High School.
Oh, okay.
But still, like, I went to La Merced, and I was just like, like an outcast. Like I didn't belong there.
Because you were hood.
Yeah, like I would go to my
You
friend.
were the most Christian hood fool there.
Like I made a friend, like probably my first or second month there.
Steven?
I went to their house. They had a second story, and I was like, damn, I never seen a second story house like this. I was
cute
tripping
as hell.
out.
That's cute.
Yeah, like I was tripping out. I was like, oh shit, this is crazy. And then I go back home to my like rundown like 40, 50-year-old house, and like
Your
10
house is
people
cute,
living there.
though.
All my
His
tias
house-
and my cousins
his
living
house
there.
is cute.
That's dope.
And so just coming to Montebello, and I'm not saying that Montebello is like a middle class city, because it's not. You know, it has like its hood if you live like in Greenwood or Southside Montebello.
Yeah.
But just coming here and just being a part of that, it kind of made me feel like an outcast. And the only way to express myself was through music. Like that's when I first started writing. I was probably like in 8th or 9th grade, and I wrote some bars. I wrote a couple verses because I felt like alone, you know. And I was going through all this shit in Boyle Heights, because I still lived in Boyle Heights. I was getting off the bus, getting hit up by like these old ass gang members and stuff like that. And then even when I moved to Montebello, I lived on Greenwood. By Greenwood and Date,
that's the hood.
where that sushi spot's at on Date.
That's the
wow.
hood.
So I live in that
Sushi
area.
bar- that
That's
sushi
like
place
there's
bomb.
always drive-bys right there. That's where they killed
Yeah.
that guy in the street.
Yep.
Remember?
Yep.
Like, when they
I
ended up
You live there? I
pursuing-
didn't even know that
I
about
used
you.
to live
They
right
were my
there.
cousins. That was
I
my
used to
cousin's
live on
friend.
Greenwood.
Yeah.
So even though I lived still like in the trenches in Montebello, I was still going to the
trenches.
school with like these Armenian kids and like these rich kids. And it was a trip. So, and then after that, I went to Montebello High School. I felt more at home. It was more like East LA-ish. You had a lot of kids from East LA going there. But still, like, it was just, that wasn't what I grew up in. Like, I didn't go to elementary with these kids, you know? Like,
Same.
I still felt like I was, like, closer to my friends from, like, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. Because, like, they were going through what I was going through, you know? So, like, I feel like that's what, and that had a big impact on, like,
You
me
saw the
making
difference
music.
between East LA and Montebello,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yep, definitely.
But that's the thing. These cities, they're so close to each other. Like I didn't.
Word.
Yeah, they're so close. Like I never lived in Montebello, but I'm literally in Montebello. Every
You went to
single
Montebello
day
High
of my
School, so
life.
you're
Yeah.
part of
Yeah,
Montebello.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
and I'm always here. It's like literally
Yeah.
like like a 5-7 minute drive. Like I'm
Yeah.
always here.
I think the thing that's funny is my answer is very similar, and we're all alluding to something, and it's kind of the same thing. Is that like there's these cities that all kind of collide in the same area, and you're kind of confused. Like I have roots in Boyle Heights, that's where my family originates. I'm technically lived in East LA growing up. My
Well,
dad
we're all
lied
neighbors.
about my address so I could go to Eastmont and then sure
Everybody's
instead of
done
that. Yeah.
instead of Garfield.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, you're confused. Like I don't really know exactly. For me personally, I'm not really sure like where I'm from. Like it's just this area
It's just like a big melting pot.
where
That's
it
all
all
it is.
collides. Exactly, there's diversity, and I think that's what's beautiful
Sick.
because that diversity has
Sick.
affected me, I think, a lot
Yeah.
in my music and stuff. And the diversity of this area, you have people who are wealthier, you have Armenians, you have
You really
Asians,
do.
you
Yeah.
have Mexicans.
In one town, it's so crazy.
Yeah, and I
Like-
think that affects a lot of my music, the diversity for sure.
I grew up in Boyle Heights. Now that I'm older, I feel like Montebello is home.
It is
Like
home.
I don't like to admit it because like people from Boyle Heights, they have a lot of pride. You know, like my family went to Roosevelt High School. They're Rough Riders and all this shit.
Oh my
God.
But I went. You know, I mean, I started going to Montebello like to intermediate 5th grade. I was 10 years old, and to this day, like now I'm living in Montebello. So I can't deny it. Like it's a part of me.
your
It's had an
hometown.
effect.
Oh,
on me.
yeah, you do live in Montebello.
You
though.
live-
Yeah,
Montebello.
I live right here on Wilcox.
Sick.
You grew up here. It's
By the
like
Smart and Final.
you're part
Don't
of
break
that.
into my car. It's been
That's why
broken
they-
into 3 times already.
Do you guys have something that you guys want to share?
And
You
like
know?
everyone has to know right now that the setup that we have basically we can't necessarily have music. I think music's a big fundamental in hip hop, but
Yeah.
today will be more of a acapella, so you're gonna go with just the words.
Yep, you
which
guys-
is probably Manny doesn't like that, but oh well.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I mean, I'll go with the first thing that comes off my head.
Just one song like you've written and you're really, or that
Or
you
just
thought
spit
about
anything. Just spit something.
Who
It's
wants to
crazy
go
when there's like
first?
no beat, you know, but there's no cue.
Uh,
You know when
I
you're
don't even
listening,
know what to
you know when you're in like in the booth and you're waiting
Yeah.
for that
Oh,
cue,
yeah.
like, all right, this is where I jump in,
Oh, we don't
or
have that.
this is where I start the
metronome?
Yeah,
I don't have
yo,
that.
what's up?
Sorry.
3 count.
You need that. Yeah, you need the count. Manny's gonna be the count since we don't have to be. Nah, but since we're doing acapella, I guess I'm not gonna like rap it, but I'll like
just rap it.
Spoken word.
Hey, I think the thing that's really
Be
cool
safe,
is
not sorry.
you're already gonna hear the difference between the three of us as hip hop artists,
And that's
which is
good.
super
I
cool,
want,
yeah.
I want Montebello to hear that. I want you guys are three different people, and you guys have three different type of styles, and I want Montebello to hear that. So if Omar, you want to go first, or if Manny, you want to go first, Danny, you want to go first.
I'll go
Whoever
first.
wants to. He's confident.
Here we go again. No one ever noticed him. Young boy only had a mother, never known a man. No role models, only cold bottles of Coronas that will zone. See, that's the part of hip hop. Sometimes you fuck up.
No, most of the time you do
Right.
fuck up.
Because that's an old verse. I wrote that like 3 years ago. Let's take it back a couple. Let's take it back a couple years to when your boy had little confidence, no common sense, but every quarter I was on that honest list. However, I could never get a girl. My game was moderate. After graduation, realized that life is hard as shit. Pause a bit. Fast forward, now I'm a college kid. Who would have thought that little kid from Boyle Heights was fatherless would grow up to be prosperous? Ooh. That's a little sample right there.
That.
Sick.
Here we go again. No one ever noticed him. Young boy only had a mother, never known a man.
Yeah.
No role models, only cold bottles of Coronas that would zone them in. I'm in my zone again, trying to find myself before I fade into the dark. I never thought of death until it came into my heart. Yo, fear must have an end because it raised me from the start. Am I a piece in God's game, or did I learn to play my part? Hell no, I won't settle for a title or a medal. I meddled and smelled the petals in the medals of the devil. I'm a real boy, a real man. My father ain't your pedal. I can feel joy and still stand. Never see me tremble or trip. Trying to make my dreams come true without forgetting to live. Staying humble, making moves to get you must give. I gave my heart and in return they disassembled that shit. But it's alright, I'm fine inside. I missed the memo to quit.
Ooh.
That's why I fuck with you.
Ooh.
Sick.
I like it.
Welcome to the late night hour.
After
that was all mellow, huh?
Montebello.
That's what we need to be.
Late hours.
It changes the tone.
Who wants to go next?
I don't even have any raps.
I'll fuck with it. Let's do
it. Danny? Daniel?
Yo.
Oh.
Damn, I suck.
I rap for the release. I rap for the deceased. I rap for world peace. I rap for kids up in the streets. Express my emotions through lyrical notions. Soulful potions where truth is potent and love is focused. I rap with the message so people's hearts are apprehended. And I proceed to answer questions. With rhythm and blues, I come with rigorous tools. Educate more than your local or average schools. It's not for fools. It's brain food and water for the soul. I spit the kind of light that I condone and change lives while I'm on the microphone. I touch the world cause I'm always touching home and never letting go. I spit the surpass with book lash, first person, first hand, divine intervention and mishaps. Fuck rap stats, this ain't a competition. I'd rather speak to 5 real souls at intermission than get caught up in rap fiction. I rap for the world, I rap for myself. I'm not a bank, I could care less about my wealth. I'm like a doctor, I rap for your mental health than you do for your physical before you're allowed to try out. I go against the normal, we're rapping informal, but still showing works of beauty like a floral. I rap to rip beats, to rip oppression. I will welcome to my mental soul session.
Hey.
Dude.
I don't even want to rap.
That was like 142 bars.
Chills.
Sick. That was a movie.
Wow.
Hey.
I could tell with him, he has it in him. He's been holding it in for a while. He's just like
sick.
Let me rap this
Hashtag sick. Dust off your dreams and get back in it.
Hashtag.
See, that's the difference though, because like now I've been focused.
If I turn, like, don't even like.
The
it's
Mighty
your
Swordsman.
turn.
The Mighty Swordsman.
I know you know that.
Oh, I have because I had a song.
I know,
but like if I fuck it up, like you can't.
Do it.
Hey,
I've been focusing more.
You're a sick ass rapper, dude.
Do it. Like you're just being. I don't even know if you're being humble.
No, I'm telling you, I've been focusing more on beats. So if I mess up, guys, like I'm sorry, but all right.
Lo borro.
Yeah, right.
It's not live.
All right. The Mighty Swordsman with a pen game that's insane. I've been played. That's how I know not to trust a single soul. Not a single soul. The greatest story ever told is unraveling. Over beats booming like a javelin. Feel it in your abdomen. I'm drinking like it's half a sin. Cause swag fags be using that hashtag to brag and win.
Yeah.
I grab the gin, then I smirk and grin. And for the record, I ain't feeling what these DJs spin. I flow like winds. Brushing over Shy City skyline. I'm Popeye. Smoking that spinach, giving me high eyes. Yeah, time flies.
But I'm catching those Z's. The beat, it's obese. I might catch a deadly disease. I'm drinking on lean and smoking on weed. Hey. Study that Wu-Tang manual. Learning prophecies for survival. So anything that I go, I fucked up, but I got my own bag. I'm ready for war. Tell them the real is back. What's up?
Hey, hip hop. And see, that was 3 different styles.
Go to the studio, David.
Hey,
in the studio.
Where's the shit at?
Save this
in your car.
For real. But yeah, that was like a taste of all of our music, you know.
So guys, this is not. I didn't just get random guys off the street to say, "Hey, are you a rapper?" No, these are guys that rap and have put up an album, and honestly see you guys.
Like our acapella versions are nothing compared to when there's a beat.
I am gonna post like the music you guys have posted so people can really know about you guys.
And that's only like a quarter of it.
This is only like the tip. Like this is like
no pun.
Sick.
Only big pun.
Like you guys,
see, like the crazy part and something you probably noticed, like we still get nervous. Like even the greatest rappers, like they still get nervous before they get on stage because it's like you're put on the spot. Like when I'm in my car and I'm driving home from work and I got a beat on, like I could rap 10 verses like off the top that I had memorized.
Yeah. Then you hit record.
Like somebody, rap a verse, bro. Like you rap. I'm just like,
I don't know how to rap. No, but you guys brought it. You guys were. I told you guys give me a verse, and you guys did. If you were to tell me, Jenny, give me a verse, I'd be like, what? But you guys, that takes talent. You guys know what you guys are saying. You guys know what you guys are doing. I don't think you guys understand, like, that's not something that I don't think you guys understand that's not something that anybody could do.
Mm-hmm. And that's the difference between earlier before we started this, you were asking us like, oh, well, what do you want to be called? A hip hop artist, a rapper? Yeah. And to me, that's the difference because like say somebody like Lil Pump, he can't call himself a hip hop artist. Like if you were to tell him right now, rap a verse acapella, like
he'd be like, nah. He'd be like, nah, I don't rap.
Yeah. No, I don't do live shows.
He would need the beat, but a hip hop artist, like there's
you guys brought it.
There's more than
we didn't give you guys like I just told you guys, like, give me what you guys have, and you guys did. I didn't even give you a beat or anything. You guys were just like, I'm gonna bring it.
The irony is that only got me started. Like now, I really wish like I could go to a studio. I wish right now I could spend the next 10 hours.
Rap right now.
I want the next 10 hours of my life to be.
We're not gonna fucking record an album right now.
No, we're not. But what I'm saying is like that's what people don't get. Like that wasn't it. To me, that was like a fucking appetizer. Yeah, it was like a tease almost. Like,
Danny, do you want to keep going? Like, bring it on, Daniel.
Give me another verse. Give me another verse.
Give me another verse. Give me another verse. Give me another verse. Do you guys have another verse? If you guys,
I'm not half the man I wasn't who I thought I was supposed to be. At least the ones I love are still here, standing close to me. Could overthink it instead. I'm.
Yeah.
See, there it is. You never know. I'm not half the man I wasn't who I thought I was supposed to be. Yeah. At least the ones I hit. I'm not half the. I'm not half the man I wasn't who I thought I was supposed to be. At least the ones I love are still here, standing close to me. Could overthink it instead. I'm over the drinking on the daily, not just weekends. Down in Henny while my daughter's sleeping. Watching Rick and Morty, sipping on a 40. Wake up early in the morning because the baby's crying. My homies tell me that I'm boring, but my family's more important. Lost a job because I was smoking. Fuck a polygraph. I'm never lying. When the homie drops the beat, it's the D.I.V. and he that speaks. Yeah, we back again like dilated. If we die today, we die the greatest to ever bless the mic from the east side of L.A. Shit, these rhymes live in me, boy. I rhyme vividly, boy. I'm not kidding. Deploy your whole infantry. Oh, you're not feeling me, bro? You ain't shit to me.
I'm not all right then.
Hey, yo.
Oh, here we go.
Waste no time. I start with no beat, start creep hard, heart beat hard, max like credit cards. I think it's evident that I'm heaven sent. Who makes the fucking rules anyway? Ain't no rap president. Everybody focus on those dead presidents. I'm just a hip hop resident paying dues to past relatives. Have your opinion, just don't step too close. I spit fire on beats, make you feel like toast. Metal rot through your stomach like a pig on a roast. Show up at the funeral with one single rose. Whisper in your mother's ear my condolence, Miss Hope. But I really gotta show your dumb son the ropes. People always miss the message. I stress this. You probably listen to this 12 times just to don't get it. I bring the lyrical miracle spiritual like Imperials, raw materials. Everyone else cute like cold cereals. There's a few new MCs are holding it down. You know you're them if one day you're performing and rock the bells. I'll do anything it takes to come up and replace all these rap mistakes that be running up in my space. Metaphorically the best MC, verbally Socrates, spitting soul through the thin cracks in my teeth. I could go for days, I could go for hours. I take this beef and sweet, then I bring it back to sour, blooming like a flower. power. Reppin' black, brown, and white power. Foes I devour. 100 miles per hour. More my life like some flower. Cause the people hold the power. I'm the man of the hour and I act as a lobby. Lyrics flow in and out of my body. Cause that's what I choose to embody. The preparation, no pause or hesitation. I come with brain stimulation. I could give a fuck about a reputation. What?
Dude.
Okay.
Manny.
Sick.
I think that's where we should end it.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is Montebello Talks.
Cut.
Word.
Manny, do you want to... Is that...
I don't have any bars, dude.
I do.
Manny, Daniel, honestly, he's ready. Like, he's
see,
ready to record.
Like, you could tell that he writes.
He's,
and
ready to go.
I can't memorize. I wouldn't be able to memorize.
But like, I want to shed light on this though, because I don't want people to get the wrong interpretation. Like, I might write, that's my thing. But like, what he does, what Manny, what Diverse does, is like, without that, I can't do what I do. Like, it's literally like so fucking pivotal. Like,
no,
to
you
have
guys
a
feed up on each
producer,
other.
to have a person who knows how to make a feeling in the actual sound of music, like,
Sick.
That's what he's trying to say is like, for him right now, especially where he's at, don't get me wrong, this fool could spit. But right now where he's at, like, he's worried about trying to make music. Like, he's making compositions.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
And then I rap to those compositions.
Exactly.
And without that, like, it's super pivotal. You know, like, people...
That's why I don't memorize, like...
That's what I was going to say. Like, he's rapping, but I know that you're like... Oh, this beat will go dope with that.
I'm not gonna lie. I just really wanted to be good, so they will work with me from this point forward. So like they'd be like, "Hey, Dick, we should really get him in here."
Like all the things. The
like
only
Dick,
ones
he's been writing
kinda,
this for like a month. Like he's ready. Like this is
my tryout. It's my tryout. Hashtag tryout.
It's just because like now I'm so focused on the music.
This is fucking interview, dude. Like
I don't really memorize my bars anymore. I used to know,
but
like,
you have
so
your
many,
own magic. That's the thing. Like you have your own gift.
That I know are like the old ones that I used to like.
And
we are gonna work.
You exactly.
That's inevitable.
So it's like
just real quick, like I think this is one of the sickest instrumentals that this fool made at my house on the spot.
Damn, that's old.
He created this shit. 1 second, it's starting.
Oh, I know. I know it was that one.
Beautiful bars, Manny bars.
That's so old, dude.
I like it.
Older, nah, but I'm saying like you created this shit on the spot. I saw you
that's
create
old.
it.
Honestly, I picture myself outside Omar's house, like
It's sad that we didn't write to it.
Super sad.
Write to it right now.
It's not over.
It's not over.
Ayo, I flow with the power. I devour my enemies like whole planets getting swallowed by Galactus. Aztec warriors, Star Trek voyagers. To embody all of that, you gotta get through all of us. The chosen few, fuck that, make that too. Personalities and rationalities are overdue, but never overlooked. I got these rap ass shook. The wicked path of a crook is the one that I took. But look, say what you mean and you ain't no judge. I won't budge. Haters are hoes and they get no love. I fucked up. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't memorize my shit.
That's all right. That's all right. That's what hip's all about.
Ooh, that's a fire.
Oh.
They say don't waste your life away. I went to school, got a job, now I got bills to pay. Paycheck to paycheck, should've practiced safe sex. Now I got a family, I just work to pay rent. Yeah, that's the reality. So I smoke this gram of weed just to make it past the week. Yeah.
Yo, put this on the mic.
Oh.
Yo, check. I'm gonna do it a little different this time because you've been seeing written, but I'm gonna come off the top, which is a little different. This means this was not pre-written. Hey yo, check it. I got Manny to my left, the best producer I've ever heard, and I tell you that statement is not absurd. And Omar, one of the best writtens and writers. I'm over here, he ain't a faker, he ain't a biter. And Jenny making her dreams come true. I say fuck it, you could be as good as Blue. And I'ma listen to that album when I step in the car. And I see my dreams, they just looking kinda far. But I say fuck it, I'm here to make my name known. I'm here to leave my mark, I'm here to do it off the top of the dome. I bring it home, I spit these real fucking lyrics. I swear to God I live this hip-hop spirit. It's inside of me, ingrained in my holy Bible spiritually. Now what you want from me, I'm the best that they've ever seen. Lyrically, syllably, I'm like killing it every time. 9 out of 10, I always drop the fucking rhyme. And I do it off the top of my mind. You feel those goosebumps? I'm coming, I got this hip-hop pride, son.
Ooh.
Sick.
Dude. Wow. I'm so impressed right now.
I think we can end it off on that note.
I'm gonna end it at that note.
Word.
This is the only way to end it. This is Montebello Talks. These are hip hop. These are hip hop artists from Montebello. Get to know them. Daniel, Manny, Omar.
Word.
This is Montebello Talks. Thank you guys for listening.